Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to review the zero product property. And we are going to review the 6 problems that we had for work yesterday. Your only assignment today is to watch very carefully how I do these problems. Okay, the first one, number 1, we will have x squared plus 10x plus 16. Equals 0. Okay, so this is already set to 0, and like we have already practiced, we are factoring this trinomial that's on the left side of the equal sign. So we know that when we factor this, we need factors of 16 that combine to a positive 10. So we can try 1 and 16. Obviously, that's not going to work. We can try 2 and 8. Yeah, I think that's going to work, and just for the sake of it, we'll do 4 and 4 as well. But we know the factors that we're going to need are going to be 2 and 8. So we're going to go x plus 2, x plus 8, and we're going to bring down that equals 0. At that point, we want to separate this out into 2 separate problems. The x plus 2 equals 0, and the x plus 8 equals 0. At this point, it's just 2 separate one-step equations that we need to solve for x. Minus 2 on both sides, cancel out that 2, and x equals negative 2. On this one, it's going to be minus 8 on both sides. Those 8's cancel out. X equals negative 8. These are our 2 answers. Okay, now please take note of this, because this is where we start moving a step further. This negative 2, if we were to check it, and we have gone over that in the past this year, that anytime we find an answer for x, we want to check it by plugging it back in to the x in the equation, and that means putting it in both spots. When we do that, we should get 0. All right, now we're not going to actually do it today. I want you to just be aware of it, that it's coming. All right? Now, since we have 2 answers, we'll have to do this twice to see if each of these things, when you plug it in for x, will equal 0. Okay? Now, again, I don't want you to do that today. I just want you to be aware that that is what is coming tomorrow. Let's move on and do problem number 2 and solve for x for problem number 2. X squared plus 9x plus 18 equals 0. I'm going to lower the music a little bit to make sure you guys can hear me okay. Again, on this time I'm finding factors of 18, so I know that's 1 and 18. I know it could also be 2 and 9. I know it could also be 3 and 6. I need these factors to combine to a positive 9. So I'm going to choose the factors 3 and 6. So this becomes x plus 3 times x plus 6. All of that set equal to 0. Again, at that point, we separate these out. X plus 3 equals 0, and x plus 6 also equals 0. For this equation, we subtract the 3 on both sides of the equal sign, cancel out the 3's on the left, and we get this to be x equals negative 3. That's one answer. For this equation, we have x plus 6 equals 0, so we subtract 6 on both sides, cancel out the 6's on the left, x equals negative 6. That's my other answer. Again, tomorrow we will begin checking these things. Let's move on to questions number 3 and 4. This is problem number 3 on the homework yesterday. X squared plus 14x plus 40 equals 0. At that point, again, we are finding factors of 40 that combine to a positive 14. 1 and 40, we know that's not going to work. 2 and 20, we know that's not going to work. What other factors of 40 do we have? We have 4 and 10. Does that combine to a positive 14? Yes, it does. 4 and 10 are our factors. X plus 4, X plus 10. Easy peasy. Let's make sure we close that parentheses and set that equal to 0. Separate these out into two separate one-step equations. X plus 4 equals 0. X plus 10 equals 0. Subtract the 4 on both sides, so x equals negative 4. Subtract the 10 on both sides over here. That cancels. X equals negative 10. Again, two answers. Notice that every time we get two answers, it's equal to the number of exponents that we have in the equation. Problem number 4. X squared minus 9x plus 18. Equals 0. Again, we have x squared, and we know we're going to get two answers in each of these problems. So recognize that. The number of answers is equal to the number of the highest exponent, the degree of the highest exponent. We're going to find factors of a positive 18 here, and we want those things to combine to a negative 9. So we know 1 and 18 will not combine to a negative 9. We know 2 and 9 will not combine to a negative 9. What about 3 and 6? Well, if they were both negative, they both equal, they multiply to a positive 18 and they combine to a negative 9. So those have to be my factors. X minus 3 times x minus 6. Set equal to 0 and then split up. X minus 3 equals 0. X minus 6 equals 0. Since this is a subtraction problem, I want to add the 3 on both sides. I'm doing the inverse operation. So on this side, x equals 3. On this side, I'm adding 6 to both sides. That cancels, and x equals 6. Again, two answers. X equals 3, x equals 6. Let's do problem number 5. X squared minus 8x plus 15 equals 0. Again, this time I'm finding my factors of 15. I know 1 and 15, but that's not going to work. I know 3 and 5. Well, if they're both negative, they multiply to a positive 15, and they combine to a negative 8. So that has to be my set of factors. X minus 3 times x minus 5. Again, all set equal to 0. Split it up. X minus 3 equals 0. X minus 5 equals 0. Again, these are subtraction problems, so I'm going to do the inverse operation of adding 3 on both sides. Therefore, x equals 3 on the first one. I add 5 on the next one. So the 5's cancel out, and this is x equals 5. Again, two answers. X equals 3, x equals 5. Last problem for the day. X squared minus 16x plus 63 equals 0. I'm finding my factors of 63. 1 and 63, not going to work. 2 and 21 to combine to a negative 16, not going to work. Excuse me. 2 is not correct. It would have been a 3 and a 21. To combine to a negative 16 does not work. Let's try 7 and 9. If they're both negative, they multiply to a positive 63 and combine to a negative 16. So that has to be my factors. X minus 7 times x minus 9 set equal to 0. Then separate it again. X minus 7 equals 0. X minus 9 equals 0. On this one, add the 7 on both sides. 7's cancel out. X equals 7. On this one, you add the 9 to both sides. The 9's cancel out. X equals 9. Again, 2 answers. X equals 7. X equals 9. And lastly, I will once again point out, if you take this 7 and you plug it in right back here into that X and this X, you should get 0. If you did the same thing with this 9 and you plugged it into both X's, again, you should get 0. That's why we have 2 answers. All right, everyone. Good luck. Enjoy the video. Again, lighter day today, but we're going to step it up quite a bit tomorrow. Please pay attention to the work. Be well. Have a good one.